Hi, welcome back to the CCBC Virtual Library, our nursing enrichment, the final part 3. Okay, thanks for watching that video with our Looney librarian. I think it really does explain the hierarchy of studies. And you don't have to memorize that, but it just really makes you aware of the various evidence-based studies that are out there. So now we're finally at the point that we've been trying to get to from the beginning, but I hope you got some foundational and even historical background on how evidence-based practice became a third leg of what nursing is today. And besides that, you want to be able to do that assignment that you have each semester, your evidence-based practice assignment. So where do you find the information from the research study pyramid? Remember I said you can't look at WebMD or any of those quick health kind of sites anymore for your research. So you're going to need to go to, I have listed here a couple of the actual places you can go on the web. PubMed.gov is a wealth of information. PLOS.org has some very forward scientific study, all peer-reviewed, and the National Library of Medicine. So, but for you at CCBC, we have databases particularly dedicated to nursing, and you can find your evidence-based practice articles there. So the first thing we're going to do is go to the CCBC website. So if you go to www.ccbc.edu, that's the general website, and I'm going to show you how to get to the library. You've probably been there to find these videos, but we'll just go down the path. It's ccbc.edu, campus life, and then into the library. And that'll take you to the general intro page that I've been showing you. You want to go first to research tools. And initially, I'm going to show you the one other page besides where we're going to do the databases search, and that is course-specific tools. And if you go down through here, these are collections of credible information, supportive information for each discipline. Some colleges or universities call them LibGuides or library guides, but your professors and librarians, past professors, past librarians have gathered this information for you to launch your searches. So I'll just take you there. They're in alphabetical order. So if we get down to nursing here, and what's helpful here is everything I'm talking about today is out there for you. So if you need to go and look at how we do searches, you can pull up this PDF. You can also look at what we're going to do next, the step-by-step for locating nursing articles in the databases is out there. So even if you don't remember everything the Gabby librarian said, you can find the step-by-steps out there. So all you need to know is how to get to the library while you're doing all of this. So in addition, it gives you some background and tutorials on using the nursing databases, some good websites. Now, those are not your peer-reviewed journals, but here we go with a review of those peer-reviewed journals. So if you have a subject for your evidence-based practice article, you can also go out here and check. So keep that in mind. So course-specific resources. But now we're going to go back and go to the really important part of finding evidence-based practice, and that is using the research databases, and that is down beneath the catalog for the library that we're no longer using the physical library right now. And there are some ebook links there at the top of the page that if you're looking for. So here is a tutorial on how to use databases generally. There's also a PDF of steps how to use databases. Now, I tell everybody using a database is like shopping. So you want to shop in the store for your particular item. So there are nursing databases, so that's where you want to go for your research. So those are in EBSCO. And EBSCO is kind of like, I say, the Mall of America. It's a big container of specialty and multidisciplinary databases under one overarching collection. So that's where you click in to go to EBSCO. So when you get in here, you're going to select, these are all those stores or whatever of information where you can shop for your evidence-based practice. However, for nursing, you don't have to really look around that much because we have purchased specific databases for you to do your work. So there's Health Source Nursing, Academic Edition, and CNAO. In addition, we have the drug database, but when you're doing your evidence-based practice, you're going to look at the other two. Now, there is one more database that you might consider. Academic Search Elite will have peer-reviewed journal nursing articles, but it also is going to have things about MMA, fighting, and stamp collecting, and Hemingway's writing. So it has a lot of different things. It's more of a general store of good information. So I would advise you to initially start with your searches right here. And what you do is you click on those databases where you're going to do your sleuthing of materials. So, and then you hit continue. You never hit select all because then you get just bound up in databases that don't pertain to your searches. So initially I'm going to do what I always say is a bad search. It's kind of like what you do on Google. You just go out, you put a word in or a phrase, chemotherapy. And I just want to do this to show you the kind of hits that you get. So when you hit that, you'll see that you get 111,000 plus articles, and that's way too many for any one human. So the first thing you want to start doing is when you're searching, it's all about narrowing and broadening and narrowing and switching up your search terms. So the first thing you want to do is you're looking for an evidence-based practice study. You want to choose full text because a lot of those articles out there are detailed records or abstracts, and you're not going to be able to present to Professor Sapienza an article that you've just read a partial bit of. You want the whole article. So you also want scholarly because remember, you need the higher credibility, the peer-reviewed journals that have been examined by experts. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about is you see here there's a dateline spread. When we do the tours of the library, it's always very important to point out that your information for nursing must be within 5 years. Sometimes I even tell people, depending on their subject, they may want it to be even in 3 years. If you were doing the opiate epidemic as your search, there's been a lot of advancement. If you were doing medical marijuana, things with viruses, the coronavirus, things are just coming out and you want to be on the edge of the information for studies. And studies do take a while to be published. So you may want to alter that 5 years a bit to 3 years at times. Okay, so we did the parameters, we changed the date line, we asked for scholarly, and we're down to 6,000 articles, but we really need, that's still way too many. So that's why I said this is a bad search. You want to start your evidence-based practice searching in the advanced search. So remember when we do the PICO questions, we can use those terms to start looking. We started with chemotherapy. So one of the things when I was telling you about my cousin, I said we looked at nausea and vomiting as a side effect. And so maybe we don't want to go as specific to start out with. We might want to say intervention itself to see what are the things, if we're a nurse and we're an oncology nurse treating patients that have a lot of nausea and vomiting may want to see what else is out there. So again, you want to do those parameters that we did on the broad search. You want to do full text. You have to get in the 2015 to 2020. And definitely scholarly. We don't want any of the popular articles. We're looking for that pyramid. The other thing you can do down here, and you can choose to do this or not, you can actually click evidence-based practice if you're in CINAHL. Now, CINAHL only allows 4 students or 4 people on campus in at a time. We haven't had a problem with that. It's a very expensive database, $14,000 a year for those 4 access, but that's because the information is so superior. So if you don't get into CINAHL, Health Source Nursing is wonderful, and you can just try that and come back again to CINAHL. But let's just do a search and see. We started out with 111,000 on that very general search with no parameters. So let's see where we go. And we're down to 9. So that's what I want you to be able to do, is add those terms, and we can mix these up. I mean, you could change this. You could add on, if you wanted to add a field and say intervention of ginger or cannabis. I don't know exactly what's going to be out there, and narrow down from the 9, or you can widen out again and say cancer treatments, or other effects of chemotherapy. Always play with those search terms. It's hard work, but it's worth it to switch things around because you get different results. The other thing is, and you could look down through the results and see which ones you may think would be interesting to you. You can see a lot of them are nurse-led projects and studies. Here's one. We had talked about oral intake. We had talked about ginger for nausea and vomiting. So maybe let's just click on this as an example. This is used for women that have breast cancer who are having nausea and vomiting. So if you want to see this, the whole article, you open it up by clicking PDF. Now, if you want to print this, you're going to download the PDF to print. Otherwise, it just prints the first page. But this gives a little overview on this article, and you're going to see the abstract and the data collection. You want to read all of this carefully. And this talks about the study of 60 patients, which is a small number, but you can see that it was a randomized control study. And there's going to be a lot of charts and graphs, and these can't be read once and understood. I always like to read check out the abstract, the intro, the conclusion, and the methodology, and then go back and read it a couple times. But here we go. And let's say this is the article that I want for evidence-based practice. I'm not going to spend, as I said, a lot of time reading it right now, but we could print it. We could email it to ourselves. You can email it to your home email or to your CCBC email. Write a subject. If you're sending 3 or 4, number them to keep track. You also can get your APA citation here and mail that with it. The other thing you can do is, if you're not emailing it to yourself and you're printing the article, some people like to have it in their hand, you can also slide here and get the APA citation here. If you were doing another language, MLA or Chicagoan, you could copy and paste that there. But for nursing, you're going to be doing APA. So that's the way you do it. So doing these searches is hard work, but it's worth it in the long run. We saw from our story time how you can really make a difference by staying abreast of evidence-based practice and not do things the way they've always been done. So thank you again. And if you wish, here at the very end, I was going to ask if you could send me an email and tell me 2 things that you've learned from the instruction, or if there's anything you'd like to do, you would like to know more about. And if you want to email me a study you're interested in, I'd be glad to look at it and tell Professor Sapienza that you went and took your new skills into action. So thank you. I'm so proud of all of you, and good luck with everything. God bless.